All right, we should be back. Son of a gun, I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch that. I don't understand. Okay, so I don't know if Ivy is back. I just wanted to, there's something that I don't people just aren't aware of. All right, so okay, he's gonna ask how the sound is in both, but pay really, pay really. Okay, thank you, Pepe. You know, it's funny you mentioned having the USB plugged into a blue colored one. It was, and I have no idea what the other one I plugged into was. I was sort of fumbling in the dark. So it was in the blue colored, as I guess that's the US 3 or whatever, all these different configurations, but I don't think it's in that one now. Okay. So if Ivy comes back, the reason I say all this, I mean, I think we get hung up on Brokerage Plus a little too much, thinking that that's how you have to trade from within trade, or you have to do that to trade using trade ideas, not understanding that you can have this very efficient link, external linking tool. So it's not mandatory that you go within Brokerage Plus to, in order to trade. But I, I don't know if Steve went over that. All right, guys. Well, in my old life, I would have been looking at this one. So SPAI, it's above yesterday's high, starting to ramp up a little bit here. Look at the relative volume, 46. So what is the status of the money machine? I don't know if you're kidding, NRAM. We don't know yet. I mean, if you're in tomorrow, if you want to go into our YouTube room tomorrow between 12 and 1, Dan, the CEO, will, possibly shed some more light on it. There's nothing I can say. It's still internally, we have to find a way to internally test it before, and then I don't know what Steve said, but we find a way to internally test it. When we're satisfied, I guess, that we can internally test it, then we will allow anybody who is a premium subscriber to have access to it in simulation mode only. Okay. I will explain external linking, yes. And so Tom V asked a question. And you link to any broker on the platform. So the first thing, just to make sure everybody understands, Trade Ideas is a standalone platform. Okay, I mean you can use Trade Ideas with any broker. You don't like you don't. It's a standalone scanning platform. However, we do have a couple of things that are great time savers. Well, one thing that is a great time saver, and that's our external linking tool. So if I click on Tools and External Linking, so we link with many brokers. Linking now, you can see I'm already linked to Interactive Brokers, and it's just a matter of if for Interactive Brokers, you just follow the instructions. So imagine if I weren't and I was wanting to link, so I would click on Add a Link. You just follow these instructions. It says while keeping this window active, mouse over the target window. So what I do for Interactive Brokers, I take my pointer and I put it right in the order entry. Once I've done that, then I hold down the Shift key, and that selects the window. Okay. Now, the only other thing you've got to do, and this is grayed out right now, but if I was starting from fresh, you would go to the rule, and this is a little drop down, and you would pick Interactive Brokers Live. That's it. And then say, okay, now I've got a link. I've got a link. Okay. I've got a link. So what does that do for me? What that does for me is that when I click on a symbol, it loads into my Interactive Brokers platform, and that's where I trade it. I don't trade using Brokers Plus. I'm not trying to downplay Brokers Plus or anything like that. I've had Interactive Brokers for almost 10 years now. So I'm just so used to trading from within Interactive Brokers. But this is a massive time saver. I click on the alert. So imagine if I had Brokers Plus up and running, and I click on Brokers. Let me just bring it up. Maybe I don't have it up. Okay, so I've got Brokerage Plus. So when I click on a link or a symbol, sure, it loads in here, CWD. Sure, I could trade it from within here, but it's also loaded right into my order entry in the Interactive Brokers, which I'm really, really used to. Okay. Now, when you say it's grayed out, what do you mean? You're talking about that rule? You're talking about the rule is grayed out? And actually, George in our main room is saying he's got it linked to Interactive Brokers and DAS. Uh-oh, sound is breaking up. Like that. The external linking is grayed out. Tools, external linking, that is grayed out. When trying to add a link. Okay, external linking. What is that? What is grayed out? The add link is grayed out. And so to answer Tom V's question also, we link with many brokers, okay? It's just a matter of finding out the method to link, okay? I mean, most of the time, a lot of times what you have to do is you have to start your broker's platform and trade ID, and you have to run it in administration mode. But we link with many brokers, understanding that they don't care whether we link with them or not. Okay, you know what I'll do? I'm going to start from scratch, okay? I don't like to do it because sometimes the link gets a little mucked up, but I will delete my link to Interactive Brokers, okay? So I've deleted it. So this is all I do. Add link. Nothing is, this is grayed out now, but so I put my pointer right in the order entry, hit the shift key, go down to the rule, and Interactive Brokers Live, done. Okay, I mean that's all I did. Exactly, Tom. Exactly. That's now it depends who is your broker, Tom, just out of curiosity. Talking to am I still breaking up in YouTube or in the room? I hope not. Yes. Just stick it in the order entry in Interactive Brokers. Just stick it right, yeah, like take your pointer and just put it right in the order entry. Once you've done this, so I'm gonna pretend I'm not linked already. Add the link, follow the rule right there, like this rule. So I'm gonna take that pointer, I'm gonna put it right in the order entry, and then I'm gonna the shift key that establishes I hit the shift key on my keyboard that establishes the link. And the only other thing I have to do, this will not be grayed out. The rule, there's a little drop down and just find Interactive Brokers Live, and then you're good to go. Say okay, and now you're good to go. So we do link with um, Thinkorswim. It's a little trickier than IB. Okay, because you have to start off Trade Ideas and Thinkorswim and run at administration mode. And then I don't, I'm at a loss because I've never had those programs. I'm in Canada, we don't have them. So you have to do something about small charts. So don't use the small charts, the chart focus or something like that. I think that they explain that to me. But once you do establish the link, Tom, it's gold. Okay, depends on how, I mean, I'm somebody who's clicking on a lot of symbols all day long. It would be a real hassle if I had to. Okay, SPAI. I've got to type it into my order entry. This is just a massive time saver. For somebody like myself who is clicking on many symbols all day long. I wish Ivy were back. Because I wish it were really truly explained to people that you don't have to use Brokerage Plus if you don't want to. Because with this external linking tool, it's simple, and from there you trade it. I know it may be a little more elegant using within Trade Ideas, but it's not 100% necessary. And I heard Steve and also Pepe was talking to you. You have to select the right account. Also, you've got to assign a buy and a sell. Pretty sure you can use Fidelity. I'm pretty sure. Okay. It's just a matter. Do you have Fidelity? And well, Tom, do you have Trade Ideas right now? Because what I would say to you, if you have Trade Ideas right now, you can just try to see. Okay, so try to link to Fidelity. You may have to. Okay, Kiwi, I'll just give me one moment. You may have to run Trade Ideas as an administration mode. Though somebody said in our other room that they didn't have to. I don't have to with IB. Running Trade Ideas in administration mode and also your the brokerage platform Fidelity. Maybe just try it without just to see what happens. So just it could be experimental. Okay. Again, the tools, external linking, and just add the link and then point into your order entry in Fidelity and then hit the shift key and see if that establishes the link just like that. I might do it. Sometimes edit the link. Sometimes you have to use alternate method or beginning is cut off. Sometimes it's the alternate method. Sometimes it's a little trial and error. But once you figure out how to do it the first time, it's the same every time. So that's what I would do. Just try it, okay? Just try that and see if you can establish a link with Fidelity just in a simple way. Okay, so how do I link with IB again? I'm new to IB. Okay, so Kiwi. So click on Tools. Okay, first of all, I want to make sure you can hear me and you're going to see what I'm doing. Okay. Now, are you from New Zealand? I'm eating New Zealand apples, if you can believe it. Tools. So click on Tools. Okay, yeah, they're pretty good. Click on Tools and then External Linking. You see where it says Add Link? You click on that. When you do that, you're going to get this message that pops up. Just follow the instructions. If you can see my pointer, just take your pointer and put it right into the order entry box. in Interactive Brokers. Just put it right there, leave it there, and then hit the Shift key. When you do, see, Shift key, and that'll select the window. And then there's one other step. You've got to go to the rules. This is grayed out for me. But if you went to rules, just a little down arrow, just go down and pick Interactive Brokers Live. And then say, okay, you're done. Let me know if it worked. Now, most of the time, now sometimes it does, it has never been a problem for me. But I think if you shut down Interactive Brokers first, or is it Trade Ideas first? Maybe Trade Ideas first, so the link is still there within Trade Ideas, and then Interactive Brokers, and then tomorrow load Interactive Brokers, and then Trade Ideas. It's never the link could still be there. You don't have to do it every day. I don't ever have to worry about the order, okay, of closing that. But you can see how simple it is. Even if the link is not there, when I mean, it takes what 10 seconds to do it. Once you do it a few times. Oh, I see. Yeah, just shift key on my keyboard, and that's it. Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Now, using Brokerage Plus simulator, that is great. You want to practice trading. You bring it up again. So, in order to get the simulator up and running, you just click on Brokerage Plus. So, you go to New in the toolbar, click on Brokerage Plus, and now this is the trade I took, I don't know, a couple of days ago. This is in the simulator. I didn't get out of it. Now, you may have different column headers than I do, but this is what you should see. However, it may not start off with paper trading. So let me just, okay. When you go to new and then click on Brokerage Plus, it more than likely is going to say not connected. All you have to do is go up to the sim underneath Brokerage Plus. There are a couple of options. One is sim for simulation, paper trading. You click on sim, and that should turn it to paper trading. Now you're in our paper trader. Our paper trader uses our real-time data. Okay. Now, if somehow that didn't happen, it just turned to account and click on it. Click on if it says account, and then you just select PI paper trading. But now you're in the paper trader. Now, let's say I wanted to trade CWD. So I click on CWD. You move it over so I can see the chart. Okay. So I click on CWD, and you can click any symbol anywhere. Doesn't matter where it is, and it'll load into the platform. You can pick this a drop down menu. You can pick how many shares you want from here, or you can type in exactly how many you want. Let's take 500 shares. Okay. If it asks, it's only 4 cents. It's not terrible. So I'm going to click on buy and then send. So what will happen is I'm in the trade now. Okay. I got in at 552. Okay. 552. Right up here. 552. I'm going to get out of this one. From I don't know. I was just demonstrating how you use this. So if you want to get out of a trade, say you're in a few trades in the simulator, you just highlight the one you want, left click and highlight it, and then you can flatten it. That gets you out of the trade, or you get out of half your trade, or double your position. So right now, I'm in this CWD, and now you can practice trading. If you want to practice some swing trades, if I don't get out of this trade at the end of the day, it becomes, carries over tomorrow. And again, it uses our real-time data. I don't like the way this is flipping around. So this uses our real-time data, okay? Well, I may as well go over a little bit of money management while I'm in here, okay? So I'm going to put a stop. The entry was at 552. It's going to show you this is how I trade anyway. Oops. I'm going to put the stop 20 cents away, not because that's the ideal stop, just for math simplicity. So I'm going to add it. You're going to see on the chart, there's going to be a minus 100 showing up somewhere. Okay, right there, not minus 97.50, close enough. Okay. So what that means is if I allow this stock to get down to 532, it'll take me out for a $100 loss. So it's great practice in the simulator to understand money management. So the big question is, well, where do you put a stop? Now understand that, obviously every trade is not going to work, and I may get stopped out. And if I do, I want to, because it's at 539. Remember, my stop is at 532. This is in the simulator. So remember, obviously, and I just got taken out. Okay, just got taken out for the manageable $100 loss. Let me do another one. Okay, so I can get taken out immediately. All right, we'll do the same thing with SPAI. Okay, leaf blower day, guys. It is Tuesday, so those of you that are around a long time, you know what's happening. So I will take 500 shares. Again, the spread is penny. That's okay. So I'm in the trade. I'm in the trade at 132. Sorry, 349. So I'm going to put a stop. Again, I'm just using 20 cents as a stop to make the math simple. And again, on the chart, you're going to get approximately minus 100. Okay, there it is. So hopefully it makes sense. So not every trade you're going to take is going to work. So you have to have a price you're getting it out of the trade if it's not working. I don't care if you're day trading, swing trading. You just can't wish and hope that something comes back. Okay, so in my opinion, anyway, if you want to, money management, you've got to have an exit price if it's not working. Now that's the problem. Well, where are you going to put that? And that's where some experience comes in. Typically, what I do is I'll look at maybe a 5-minute chart, and I'll try to size up where I think there might be a support level. A support level mean maybe a lot of action at a certain price. So if it went down below that, I want to be out of the trade. Okay, it's broken support. You've probably heard that term before. So that's that's why you can practice trading, trying to figure out, well, what makes sense to me. Some people put the low of the day. That's going to be a real long stop, but some people might take the low of the previous 5-minute candle. The reason for doing that is that that's a very defined number. The low of the previous 5-minute candle. I'm not saying that's the way you're going to do it, but you can even practice like that, just so you understand that, well, maybe that'll work for you. And there's no guesswork. I mean, the low of the 5-minute candle, it's a number. I mean, it's not guessing. Well, I wonder if that's support. If this could be a support area. Could this be a support area? So, so that's how I trade. Before I take a trade, everything has to line up. I've got a sort of a checklist. Everything has to be checked. And most of the things are already checked based on my scans. In other words, I'm not going to see something outside the price range I want. It's going to have the minimum volume that I want. It's going to have a relative volume that I want. So a bunch of things are already checked, in the scans. So my next step really then is, okay, if I click on an alert, what is the chart trying to tell me? So the first thing I'm thinking about is, okay, if it doesn't work, where am I getting out? Where am I getting out of this trade if it doesn't work? And so in this particular case, I put it again just to make the math simple. I put it 20 cents away and I took 500 shares because 500 if I times 20 cents if I allow it to take me out, that'll be a $100 loss. Okay, I'll talk about manageable losses in a minute or two. But the next step is once I see and I'm kind of doing this at the same time, understanding I'm looking left, to see where a stock could run. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I looked and I said, okay, I really don't want to be in this trade. If it goes 20 cents underneath, uh, below my entry price, I don't want to be in. And not just because 20 cents is a magical number. Again, it's based on something. I'm just using 20 cents in this case to make the math simple. But let's say again, it was based on something. I have to be able to look left and have a reasonable expectation of making 40 cents on the trade. That's how I trade. In other words, I'll risk 20 cents to try to make 40 cents. Now, it doesn't mean just because I look and I'm looking left to see where the next high is. If it were 40 cents away or 50 cents away and my stop is 20 cents, then it becomes a viable trade. Now, the more the merrier. If the next stop is or next high is say $1 away, and I'm risking 20 cents, well, that's like a 1 for 5 risk reward. Okay, so the more the merrier. But I won't, for instance, if I size it up and my stop was 20 cents away, and I quickly look left, and the next high is 5 cents away, I'm not taking the trade. I'm not going to risk 20 cents to try to make 5 cents. Now, just because the next high is 5 cents away doesn't mean it's going to stop there. But I that's how I trade. I try to take any reason for a stock moving higher out of the equation. And for me, it is the next high looking left. Doesn't mean it's going to stop there, but that's just the way I trade. Really, really selective. Let's say everything lines up. You do take the trade. You've got enough room to make, say, a 1 for 2. Some people want a 1 for 3. So it would have to be 60 cents. You're seeing 20 to make 60. That's going to be up to you. Next step, how many shares are you going to take? So how many shares you're going to take is based on where your stop is. Now, the other thing is, I hope it makes sense that if you have a $5,000 account, you're not going to risk $1,000 a trade. So in the simulator, I like demonstrating a risk of $100 a trade. That's why I'm making the math super simple, okay? Risking $100 a trade. So if my stop is 20 cents away and I'm willing to risk $100 a trade, every trade, I can take 500 shares. 500 times 20 cents, if I lose, is $100. If my stop was 10 cents away, I could take 1,000 shares. 1,000 shares times 10 cents is still that $100. So that's how you're going to share size yourself. Now, there's a way in Excel which you could just input, your entry and your stop, and have it point to, if you understand how Excel works, point to that fixed number of how much you're going to risk a trade, and then that'll automatically calculate how many shares you can take. I do it pretty well in my head now, but that's a way to do it if you're practicing. So that's the big thing about money management. Don't risk so much on a trade that you could get wiped out. If you risk $1,000 a trade and you've got $5,000 in your account, you might be wiped out after less than 5 trades. So next step is obeying your stop. Really easy in a simulator. Look what I did. Okay, CWD. Got stopped out. Play money, half $100. Oh well, not a big deal, right? When you start trading, all of a sudden, some of your discipline, and I also want to say this: until you can make money in a simulator, please do not practice do not attach to a live account. Just because, but the unfortunate thing is, even if you can make money in a simulator, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to translate to making money in your live account. Sometimes you get some slippage, um, but if you can't make money in a simulator when there's no pressure, think 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 how harder it's going to be. Give me one moment, please. Okay, one moment, please. Sorry about that, guys. There's only one person I answer the phone to, and you know who that is. So, where was I? So, discipline. So it's easy, in a when there's no pressure to obey your stop. The problem is when you start trading live. So, and you know, when you start trading live, and you're in a trading room like this, we could be all talking about what we think is a great stock, a great story. By the way, news is not a reason I take a trade, but I'll call it a bonus. But everybody's talking about it. It looked like it had some great news in the free market. It's moving higher. Everything looks fantastic, and then all of a sudden, whoops! It starts coming down to your stop price, and you go, "What the heck is going on?" You know what? It's going to come back. I'm not going to obey my stop because this is too good a story, and it's going to come back. So now you're down $200 instead of the manageable 100, 300, 400, 500, and then you finally kick yourself. You sell it, and you get out, and you say, "Man, why did I not obey my stop?" And everybody who's been in this room for many years knows exactly what I'm going to say next. Almost as bad though, is not obeying your stop. You're down 2, 3, 400, and then it does come back for you. And now you're up 2, 3, $400, and you say, "Wow, I'm so glad I didn't obey my stop." Can that happen? Of course it can. But if somebody had told I didn't know what stops were when I first started trading. I didn't even know the concept of that. If somebody had told me all this, I would have saved myself so much anguish, agony, money. Sure, you never like to see a stock turn around when you're out of it, but you know what? You can always get back into the trade. And, with commissions, when I started trading, commissions were ridiculously high, and I'm talking hundreds of dollars in and out. So there's no excuse now. You can, and the other thing is that depends on the type of trade you're in. Let's just say you're in, I mean, some of these little guys, they don't care about what the market's doing. But let's pretend you decided you like Microsoft, okay? Followed all your rules, Microsoft met all your rules. Then all of a sudden, for some reason, the market takes a giant red bar down. Well, more than likely, Microsoft and any stock that kind of follows the market, that's what's going to happen. Your trade in that type of stock is probably going to be destroyed. You can't help that. You can't know that's going to happen. You just have to, but you just have to get out of the trade because it could always come back later on, the same type of setup later on that made you get into the trade in the first place. Commissions are not, they're either, zero or Interactive Brokers, like 0.5% a share. That's not a reason to not get out of a trade. And just think, even if it's a trade that, even if the market was ripping higher, and for whatever reason, your stock that follows the market starts moving down, you can't help that, okay? But you can always say to yourself, you know what? Maybe I was a little early. I like the setup still, but maybe I was a little early. And if it sets up again in a similar fashion, you can always take the trade later. Okay, that's it. I don't teach trading so much, but it's certainly money management. But I guarantee, even though I've said all this, there'll still be a time where you're going to get into a trade and you're going to let the ego get the best of it. I'm right. I know I'm right. This is going to work. And then you're going to maybe remember what I said. Why didn't I get out of the trade at a manageable loss? Nothing worse than watching your P&L on a trade keep drifting down, 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 knowing you could have got out at a manageable loss. All right, guys, just give me one moment. All right, guys. So but his XMTR, once it got running, it just kept running and running and running, inch by inch, penny by penny. Beautiful. That was from the. I didn't take this one, but I didn't. I'm really shorting today. All right, NCT just got halted on the way down. So this what Todd is saying. The SPY, it's right around. There's the 5 minute the move area on the chart. There's the 5 minute chart, of course. Um, there's the VWAP right there. trying to hold it. They got through it a bit and back into it a bit. So maybe this is going to be a leg up. Maybe. Yeah. So the question in our YouTube room is, how come there are only a few brokers that give you early access to IPOs? I only know of Robinhood. Robinhood, I guess we could call it the people's broker. Okay. But typically, this is what happens. There's a big IPO coming out. So let's just say Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, they're behind it. So they all have a certain number of shares that are allotted, and then they go to their best clients. I guess they're call them their top clients, and they start offering the shares if they want them. At least that's the way it used to be. So they could say, let's say I was a big hitter at Goldman Sachs, and my broker at Goldman Sachs, I get a call from them saying there's going to be a big IPO coming up. I can get you 1,000 shares. Okay, you just make up a number. You want it or not? And that's how it kind of works. It's a real pecking order. And very, 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 very rarely would somebody on the low end of the totem pole, as a retail trader, will have access to any IPOs. But I know Robinhood, though. I don't know. I don't know how they dole them out. I don't know if it's your account size or. And I don't think it's. I mean, I may be wrong. So, for instance, with this big IPO, I mean, I don't know. Anybody here with? Whoa, boy, this is getting close, guys. This is getting close. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Robinhood had access to some, and then they. I don't know. I don't know how it works with Robinhood exactly. If it's only certain IPOs that they have access to, or I really don't know. That's real. That's usually the reason. Okay, if you're a big hitter, you're usually contacted. Boy, look at this, guys. I mean, this big. If it takes out this, this is where it started trading 3 days ago, and there was about a 22 dollar IPO or something like that. Never. Don't look at this. Don't look at this. This is when it was Fortress. Not yet. But these guys, Figma, they decided they wanted that name. Makes sense, I guess. They call it Figma. So they wanted that symbol, I should say. Fortress Investment Group, I think that's what it was called. They stopped trading as that. I don't know if they went public or, sorry, private or were bought out. And that was back in May of this year. So when these guys said, well, we're going to go public and we'd love that symbol. So they took the symbol. Opened right here at 84. Crazy. I think it was priced at around 20 odd dollars. And the second day gets off at 143. It's crazy. But you can kind of see if it takes out that low right there. Look out. I'm not saying it's going to get right back down to the IPO price, but you see a lot of people will be interested in shorting that one. There was certainly a lot from here, I bet. And Interactive Brokers almost has a million shares. So there's been a lot of short covering at Interactive Brokers. This morning there were about 100. Yesterday were 800,000 shares, and that was the second, third, well, the after 2 days of trading. I looked this morning, there were only 120,000, and now I see there are 941,000. So there's been a lot of short covering at Interactive Brokers. I can only speak for Interactive Brokers, of course. Well, that's what we thought about the NIQ. NIQ, look at this. I mean, this has got some massive names behind it. You know, you just never know. It's got some huge names behind it. Yeah, I mean, virtually every big one, Goldman, J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley, and it was IPO'd at I think it was 21. Never even got up to the IPO price, and this is slip sliding away. So I mean, you just never know. Seems like it's got the right NIQ Global Intelligence. It sounds like it should be in the right sector. AI powered consumer intelligence. It seems like it's in the right sector. But so far, I have an alert set up here in case at some point it does take out the high and start to run. But in a moment. So this is what I'm talking about. Okay, this is what I use for IPOs. This one wasn't too bad, but where is that? NIQ. So look who's behind it. J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, UBS, Barclays, RBC. Maybe I was wrong. I thought Goldman was behind it too, but Wells Fargo. But lots and lots of big guys. BMO, lots of big guys behind it. And secondary, look at that, or co-managers. So there are a lot of people behind this one. And so this is the one I think that Goldman and others were behind. This one hasn't done too badly. Whoops. Going, going to Yahoo. The machine doesn't like it. Yeah, so look at this one. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, BMO, RBC, Wells Fargo, Piper Sandler, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of big names behind this one also. This one has been a lot more successful. It was going to open around 21. And look what it did. So I mean, it got up to 31, opened here. Remember, the IPO price was 21, so it opened at 26, and then the next day it got up to 31. Compare that to the other one. It's the verdict. Why did it happen? Like, the longer I go, it starts to degrade. What if I flip back to the other port and just keep doing that all day long? Every time somebody says, "Well, it's starting to get a little degrading," or "It's degrading," we just keep flipping them from one port to the other. All right, just for fun, I'll do it.